Cheerio. Thank you for being so patient. Hello, all of my friends, my girlfriend Maria, my Libba sis, all of you. The post office is kicking my ass, and that's where I've been. Anyway, so I want to do my video on Courtney, the little OnlyFans chick, but I'm trying to insert the video of her beating the boyfriend up in the elevator, and I don't want to put this video out until I can do that, because I think it's crystal clear that this woman is an abuser, and she's probably exactly where she should be, in jail right now. I don't understand women who sell pictures of themselves nude online and then turn around and demand respect. Hello, to me that's a walking double standard. This is Michael Dunn. This video. I'm still obsessed with this case. When I'm out on my route and I can't get internet, man, I go to my downloads and I listen to his cross-examination or his retrial. I believe this dude, yes, I'm in my pajamas. I believe this dude has convinced himself that the story he testified to is accurate. I had a grandmother who, when my mother and my aunt were, 11 and 8. They got home from school one day, and all of their clothing was out on the sofa. And Grandma said, "We're leaving Grandpa. We're leaving Dad. Pick out what you want. Let's go." And my mother stood there at 11 years old and said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay with Dad. And her sister stood right behind her and just said, "I'm going to do what Judy did." My grandfather was a wonderful man. He worked for General Motors. He was a linesman, and that was back in the old days when a dude could get a career and own a house without a college degree, which is ridiculous. I'm going to guarantee there are a lot of dance majors working at Starbucks right now. But he could own a home. He had a pension. My grandfather died in 1977. He happened to die on my birthday. When he died, he had a pension from General Motors. My tramp grandmother, his ex-wife, didn't die until 2005. And when she died, she was still getting that pension from General Motors. It was something like $2,200 a month. Imagine that. And this woman, she went down with a glass of whiskey in this hand and a cigarette in that hand and lived to be over 90, and I'm very glad I'm not the Lord and have to judge people. The point of that was my grandmother would tell me stories about my mother going to prom or my mother getting her driver's license, and none of them were true because my grandmother was gone, and she left when Mom was 11, and my mother didn't hear from this woman again until she was about 35. So I asked my mom once, I said, "Why does Grandma tell these things that we know are not true?" And my mother said, "She has made herself believe them, and that's how she eases her guilt." Sorry, my little thing is, and it annoys my man when it's there. So I believe Michael Dunn has convinced himself that these things happened. However, he's now been in jail or prison for almost 10 full years. This November 23rd, November 24th will be 10 years. And I'm going to guess that he sleeps perfectly fine at night because deep in his heart, he knows he was wrong. This dude is just a racist. He pulled up, he saw 4 black kids, and he said, "They're thugs." Oh, and then how about him saying, "Thug isn't a term I use." He had thug written all over his damn jail cell. He had thug with the red circle and the line across it. What? Don't give me that bullshit. Goodness gracious. Anyway, so I finally, just recently, went online and found some of the letters he had written from jail. And I'm shocked. Okay, if you're accused of a crime, let's hope you're not. But if you are, if you're innocent or guilty, either way, do not speak to police without attorneys. No matter what. Don't do it. Wake up. Be smart. So that was his very first mistake. And then, if you may recall, at the Chris Watts sentencing, some of the things in his parents' statements made one believe that they still believed Shannon killed the children. Well, remember, Chris sat in the interrogation with his father that night, and he told his father, Shannon did this, and then I reacted. Well, they didn't speak to him one time between that encounter and the sentencing. Why? Because Chris followed the advice of, shut up! Sorry. That's the dog that killed my mother. Rudy gets all in your feet and you trip. 2 times I've hit the ground. My mother was 83 pounds, 73 years old, with full-blown dementia, just like Joe Biden. Full-blown. She wasn't shaking hands with invisible people, but full-blown dementia. And I guarantee, and she fell, and blood all over the house. I had no idea how much blood a human body had in it. But my mother walked everywhere in the house. She went to the kitchen sink, tried to clean herself. She went to her own master bathroom. At one point, she went and lied down in her bed, and there was even blood on the back of the wall from where, just the spray. She ended up making the final step into the garage. For whatever reason, she was going into the garage. My parents had the little handicap ramp, and there was a bag of clothespins that hung at the end of that ramp. And the police believe that my mother tripped on the clothespins. I believe she tripped on Rudy. But regardless, she fell, hit her head, and that was it. Because she had Alzheimer's, all the people from church checked on her, and they called her every hour. Well, someone rang at 11. They spoke to her at 10 a.m. She was fine. At 11 a.m., she didn't answer. So they gave her an hour. At 12 noon, they called. She didn't answer. So someone got in the car and started driving up the mountain. They got up there about 12:20. When you live in a little town like this, the police and all your neighbors have your garage door code. So the police and the neighbor who was checking on her happened to arrive at the same time at my parents' farm. And they used the code, got in. My mother's body was still warm. And I'm going to tell you what I think. I think she held out onto life until she knew someone was here to take care of her Rudy. My mother liked the dog more than she liked me. My mother loved. Let's see if I can get him in here. This stupid little dog. Rudy! Hey, Rudy! There he is. Oh, look, my light went out. So that's what I think happened. Doesn't matter. What was the whole point of that? Okay. So, I was apologizing for telling my dog to shut up. So I've printed out multiple letters. This was the one I found the most intriguing out of the first. So it's dated May 7th. Remember, this crime happened November 23rd, 2012. This is dated May 7th, 2013. So it's just about 6 months. I will throw my commentary in here. And I apologize. So I'm the type of person, I have YouTube playing all day, and I just listen to it. I rarely watch any of the videos. So I apologize that you just have to look at me. Just pretend that I'm good looking or something. Okay, ready? Hi, Grandma. Well, I'm sure you've heard by now that I'm still being held illegally. Our plea of habeas corpus was denied, and no reason was given. We still have 2 options available. We can either appeal the recent chicken shit decision by the appellate court to Florida's Supreme Court, or appeal the court's decision to deny bond. Okay, I know for a fact his parents paid his attorney's fees. His parents owned a computer programming company. I believe it's called Dunn. So his parents had some cash. We have to get a new judge, too. The one I have now is very new and not very bright, because Michael Dunn is probably one of the smartest people in the world. I don't know if I should feel like I'm a victim of reverse discrimination or a political prisoner. Either way, the state of Florida is screwing me over. You know what? Prince Harry's wife compared herself to Nelson Mandela. It's Michael Dunn is our white version of Nelson Mandela, isn't he? Just a political prisoner. Good God. Okay. You ready for this line? Almost. Hold on. I'm hoping this will eventually work out, but somehow I doubt anything will change. Okay, you ready? This part. The blacks seem to be calling the shots in the media and the courts. What? The blacks? Hello? Racism 101. This man. Disgusting. Judge people by their character. Don't worry about the color of their skin. Absolutely don't worry about what they do in the bedroom, which I don't understand why that's a big thing now. But goodness, you judge a person by their character. Okay. Back. My brother tells me that every time there is an article in the newspaper, the website has a way for people to leave a comment. Yes, that's how life works, Dick. He said it is divided by race. Those for and against me. Okay. I went back and I was able to read about 150 comments that were left in December of 2012, the first month after the accident. That statement is a lie. It was not divided by race. Now, yes, every black person who you could tell they were black by their name or their profile picture was against him. But I found that more than half of the people who you weren't sure. I mean, if your name's Jane Smith and you got a little blonde profile picture, you're probably a little white woman. Half of the white people were against this guy as well. It was not by race. That's just delusional. He's delusional. The whites, that group. I can't even imagine referring to a group of people as the whites or the blacks. My goodness. The whites who live in Jacksonville know how the blacks behave, and the blacks want to protect their own. So what he's saying there is, had he been from Jacksonville, he would have already understood that people in Jacksonville understand how blacks respond. I hope this man has had a lock in his sock hit on him a couple times. I wouldn't mind if he dropped the soap in the shower either. And some big black guy showed him who's in charge. Okay, I continue. I apologize. And of course, the daddy of the thing I had to defend. Did you hear what that? The daddy of the thing I had to defend. Jordan Davis, the victim, who may have been slightly mouthy. Doesn't matter. I don't care how mouthy he was. He didn't deserve anything. He wasn't getting out of the freaking car. Okay, I'm so sickened, but I'm going to read it again. And of course, the daddy of the thing I had to defend myself against raised an immaculate child who could do no wrong. Okay. Jordan Davis had a C+ average. He'd had one truancy in school. He didn't have any problems. He was a good kid who maybe liked the F word, but he was a good kid. His parents were divorced when I think he was 2. Mom worked for Delta Airlines, based out of Atlanta. Dad lived in Jacksonville. So the kid flew back and forth constantly. You fly for free. It's called non-rev. I was an airline employee. Flying non-rev is a lot of fun. I flew first class many, many times. But the victim's mother had had breast cancer the year prior. So Jordan moved down with his father. In the home the father owned, stable environment, all Michael Dunn is doing is judging these people by the color of their skin. I believe that's the definition of racism. Okay. Mike Dunn is thinking he's going to move out of Florida when this is all over with, assuming he's acquitted. I don't want to live in a state that plays politics and sucks up to a special interest group at my expense. I'm going to go out of my way to expose them and the media when the time is right. Oh, it gets better later. Just wait till something, a little later, he'll tell you what he's going to do. Okay. Enough. Ranting for now. I apologize. I had already read this through and fixed any words, and I just missed that one. Okay. And then he draws a happy face. Isn't that a great happy face? Thanks again for writing. Remember, this is Grandma. I enjoy reading your letters. They are always upbeat, and it's nice to read about normal things. I was getting a newspaper here for a while, but they misrepresent what has been going on with my case so badly, I figure I'll just stick to the fiction novels and not bother with fiction masquerading as journalism. I will tell you, he spelled masquerading correctly. I was pleased with that. Okay, that was a rant, but against the media this time and not the corrupt government. Okay, I don't get political because some of my viewers appreciate the other side, and that's great. I could care less. You support which side you like. But I will tell you, this man comes from Florida. Florida is Donald Trump in a state. I mean, the governor there is mini Donald Trump. Now, granted, in 2012, it wasn't like that. Charlie Crist had just left. Charlie Crist, who was a Republican, but now he's going to run this fall for governor as a Democrat because he's seen the light. But even in 2012, Florida was still, I think it's the number 2 or number 3 state for gun ownership rights. So, side note, the prosecutor who prosecuted Mike Dunn's case was also the one who prosecuted George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman should never have been charged. He was charged because of the public outrage. If you watched the case and actually saw the evidence, about a third of the way through, you said, okay, this dude's going to be acquitted. I believe the prosecution figured that out as well. I've watched this guy, John Guy, in a couple of cases. He changed his tune in Zimmerman. And I really do believe he just went, we may have overcharged. John Guy is a judge now. And isn't he totally hot? I may put a picture of him in my thumbnail. He's smoking hot. Okay. Remember corrupt government? Now we're changing the subject. It's a new paragraph for old Mike Dunn. There is an eagle's nest on the Intercoastal Waterway where we live. They're not there year-round, but I've seen the mama and some chicks. I wish we had something like that in our backyard. But we do get to watch the dolphins and the occasional whale swim by. So I have been to Alaska, and I have seen a whale. I was on the ship, and the captain got up and was like, hey, get over to the port side. There's a whale. It was really cool, and I'm really glad I did it. And the whale is bigger. And you look at it and you go, oh, my goodness, that's huge. Fucking A. No, it's bigger. Really, really. Okay. This part is redacted. So I don't know who said this to him. But I'm going to guess it's Rhonda, his girlfriend. The one who this engagement split up. What was I going to say? She dodged a bullet. No pun intended. She dodged a bullet. I read that this guy in his 20s was a swinger, and that was the reason his first marriage failed, because the wife didn't want to swing. I'm going to guess he got over that, because Rhonda doesn't seem like a swinger. And have you ever heard that if people have that globe in their front yard, that means they're swingers? That's how other people can know. If you've heard that, let me know. Every time I'm on a mail route and I see that globe, I think, oh, naughty, naughty, naughty. But it's their relationship. Welcome to do what they please. As long as children and animals aren't being hurt, I don't mind what you do in the bedroom. I don't want you showering with your 16-year-old daughter. If you know what that's a reference to, please comment below. Okay, Rhonda has finally given up hope that I will be released. She's moving out of our townhouse and into a small apartment in town. So, November 1st, 2012, they renewed their lease. This is now May 7th, which means Rhonda paid a lease break fee, which I've only done that once, but I was buying a house. It wasn't really that big of a deal. But I think that if you break your lease, you have to pay 2 months' rent, and it might be more. If you know anything about that, let me know. But you don't just say, hey, I'm leaving, and walk out. I mean, you have a financial penalty for that. So it was worth Rhonda to get the hell out. She says she hates being in the townhouse now, as everything reminds me of me. Well, duh. Poor girl. This has been especially hard on her. At least I won't have to worry about her being able to come up with enough for the rent. Piece of shit. So he's not taking care of her anymore. You know, I'm very old-fashioned. I believe the man should support the home. This guy's just a piece of shit. Maybe that's why I'm obsessed with it. Okay. We've both, he and Rhonda, been on an emotional roller coaster since this happened back in November. We were told I'd be out on bail December 13th. Then January, February, etc. At this point, if I get out on bond, great. But we're not holding our collective breaths for it anymore. Now we have September 23rd to look forward to. That's when the trial has been scheduled for. I know that date will slip, but I'll do what I can to make sure it doesn't slip too much. Well, of course it's going to slip. You remember Shelley Michael, the psychopath nurse in Morgantown, West Virginia, who drugged her husband up with a paralyzing drug, rocuronium, and he died. 13 minutes. The medical examiner said it probably took about 13 minutes while he was awake, knowing what was happening, until he finally died. Okay, had Shelley Michael exercised her right to a speedy trial, there's a chance she would have been acquitted. But she didn't. She was out on bail, and every opportunity she had to kick it back, she kicked it back. Well, 9 months after the original trial date, the ATF finally figured out the combination on how she lit her house on fire and why it didn't ignite for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It took them 9 extra months to figure that out. Had that dumb whore said, I want my trial now, it's likely she would have gotten out. I don't know what's wrong with the light. It's likely she would have gotten out. Because to a common person, you're not going to light a Bic and have the flames not show up for 2 hours and 15 minutes or something, 2 hours and 20 minutes. And as a person who's judging someone else for their life, to me, that's serious reasonable doubt. You're not going to... and have it take 2.5 hours for everything to ignite? If you get yourself in that situation, get your trial. Do it. Okay, there's a reason that we have these rights. Okay. Besides changing judges, remember his judge is new and he's not very bright. He's a judge, but he's not very bright. We're going to ask for a change of venue. That means a different county. That's the reason I can't be rebutting the press. I can't be shown to be part of the media circus, as that's the reason for moving this case to a new county. So that's their logic. They're going to tell the judge, we want to go to a different county because of the media circus. He ended up not getting it. It was charged in Duval County. The fear is that we may get a predominantly black jury and therefore unlikely to get a favorable verdict. Well, doesn't that really depend on what the verdict that you wish for? Because to me, a favorable verdict is guilty. So, take that, dick. Sad, but that's where this country is still at. And yes, he ended a sentence with a preposition. which I think that you're allowed to do now. But in the late 80s, early 90s, you weren't. The good news, you ready for this? You ready? Change of venue. It's hard to read this. The good news is the surrounding counties are predominantly white, Republican, and supporters of gun rights. Right. So the surrounding counties are going to ignore the facts of the case and simply vote for him to be acquitted because they're white, Republican, and they appreciate the Second Amendment. Wake the fuck up. This dude is exactly where he should be. Remember that saying, rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Okay, I will have to tell you, just in the last 1 week, Sel said that to me. I had never heard of that phrase until Michael Dunn. So, I understand. You guys know what it means, right? I'd rather take my chances and keep myself alive and face a jury than be carried out in a casket. I'm very light. So when I die, you probably won't need 6 pallbearers. Probably only about 4. I got on the scale this morning. 101. Gross. I'm trying to gain 10 pounds. You're going to laugh at this. But I can start to feel my chin. I get to 104, and I could feel it. My mother, lovely, lovely woman. But when I was a kid, she allowed my father and my brother to call me Buffalo Butt and Thunder Thighs. And she was always giving me grief about what I'd eat. If I ate a donut, my mom would say, you should go get a second one and then stick it on your hiney because that's what your butt's going to look like. I mean, my mother really, really messed with me, the mental game about my weight. And I'm telling you, that's what's wrong with me. That's why I'm obsessive about it. I just want to weigh 110 pounds. I mean, my skin is sagging. But mentally, oh, goodness. I'll shut up. Thank you. Okay. You remember, judged by 12, carried by 6. However, I don't wish to be prejudged, and the blacks around here, you know the blacks, are doing just that. I'm falling into the same trap, prejudging the blacks. But they're making it very easy to do that by their own actions. Okay, when you call them the blacks, you're prejudging them, you dick. I have written Michael Dunn a letter. I'm trying to find what facility he's in. He's in an Oregon State prison. He cannot be in Florida because there's a hit out on him. So they have to keep him safe. I will probably end up sending my letter to his attorney, Corey, whatever. Okay. So you ready now? We'll continue. Rhonda and I have discussed moving to Colorado after the trial and my release. We won't be too far from you in Texas, though Texas is so darn big. Really, Alaska is big. Texas is flat. If we do move to Colorado, it will be to Colorado Springs, as Rhonda has a daughter and a granddaughter who live there. I spent Christmas with them a few years ago. We took the Cog Railway up to Pikes Peak. Way cool. Pikes Peak is awesome. I've been there. I think I still have my t-shirt. And I went there and I was still in school. It's probably about 1991. Took a while to catch my breath there. And everyone seemed so healthy. Okay, it is true. The air is thinner up there. And you really do notice it. You get tired faster. That's why the Denver Broncos have a home team advantage when they play. Did you know if another football team plays at Denver, they come in one day earlier than any other game they would travel to, just so their bodies can just start to, what's the word? Starts with an A. Acclimate to the thinner altitude. Anybody watch the Ohio State Notre Dame game Saturday night? Ohio State won. Ohio State ranked number 2. Notre Dame ranked number 5. A week 1 game. Holy cow, I was a nervous wreck. It was awesome. Absolutely awesome. I need to look at the coaches poll to see what happened. Okay. The people in Colorado, spend more time outdoors than we do in Florida. Not looking forward to shoveling, though. Hopefully, we'll have a neighbor as nice as yours. My father bought a snowblower, and it was great. So Washington, D.C., you don't get a lot of snow. About every 3 or 4 years, we get an awesome storm, 3 or 4 feet. It's great. But all the other years, we get squat. When my father bought the snowblower and we got the first storm, of course, he did our own home, and he ended up doing 3 houses that way and 7 houses that way because he was having so much fun. I've used a snowblower once, and it was fun. So, but I'm the type of person, you're going to laugh, I enjoy ironing. I enjoy washing dishes. There, I just pointed at my kitchen. I asked a shrink once, and he said it's that instant gratification, instant satisfaction. You get great endorphins from seeing your progress right in front of you. You know, I enjoy mowing the grass. I don't mow the grass, but it's instant gratification. So, okay, ready? I don't know if I mentioned my latest quote, neighbor, to you. This one talks through the air vent to the juvenile. Mike Dunn says this kid is either 15 or 17, and he's accused of murder. Dude, you're 45 accused of murder. And 3 counts of attempted murder. My NFL 3. I finally got to see him the other day when I went to court. He has 2 teardrops tattooed under his eye. Ready for this? From a documentary on gang violence that's supposed to mean he's killed 2 people. Of course, he could just be a poser. Mike Dunn likes his quotes. I've overheard him talking. He said okay, this is good. Ready? He said he's from Atlanta and was bragging on how much more serious the thugs from Atlanta are. The guy I defended myself against was from Atlanta. How about the child you murdered was from Atlanta? Good God. He was 17, living with mom, and she sent him to Jacksonville to live with dad. Because she got breast cancer, dick. That's why she sent him there. She got breast cancer. Goodness. How about that? He's not even thinking about the pain this woman she lost her child. It doesn't matter if they are black, white, purple, orange. She lost her child. And all he cares about was that she sent him to Jacksonville. Good God. Not sure if the special school was in Atlanta or Jacksonville, but supposedly he went to a school for troubled youths. So I did 4.5 minutes of research. I didn't find that he ever went to a juvenile facility, anything. He may have, but I don't care if Jordan Davis had just gotten out of 6 months in juvenile detention. He did nothing that deserved what Michael Dunn did to him. Good God. Okay, this is good too. From what little I've interacted with the dad, I can imagine some sort of that hate was homegrown. So I guess dad is a black. You asked about a first meal request after I'm released. It's been 10 years. You still haven't gotten that request, have you, dick? But he's dreamt about filet mignon and lobster tail. This dude probably eats his filet mignon well done. God love President Trump, but he eats his steak well done with ketchup. What the fuck? That's nuts. Okay. But Mike would settle for Chinese takeout. Doesn't need filet mignon or lobster tail. No, he's happy with Chinese takeout. Seriously, the food here sucks. Sucks is a ugly, yucky word. Don't use the word sucks. Mom and Dad are helping me out and putting money in my commissary account. They also paid fully for his 2 trials. Now they're sitting here trying to retire. I need to look up and see if they're still alive. But no, they dropped $850K to defend their thug son. Michael Dunn, the white thug. Okay, ready? Commissary. His parents put money on his commissary. I try to stay away from the sweets, though, but I do get a bag of hard candy. I try to get things with protein, like summer sausage and jerky. I'm exercising in myself, but with no weights, I'm limited in which muscles I can work. Okay, if you're trying to stay in shape, you do not need a single weight. Nothing. There are plenty of exercises to do for every single muscle in your body that does not need a weight. You know what? That's just an excuse. That's all. So when you see him and he's released and he hasn't lost 30 more pounds, it was because he didn't have access to weights in his cell. So that's why. Remember, everything in this man's world was someone else's fault. He ordered pizza that night because Rhonda was hungry. He didn't call the police the next morning because Rhonda wanted to go home. Good God. That's right there. Okay, the first trial ended in a mistrial on the first-degree murder charge. Excuse me. The attempted murder charges were all convictions. Shit. Anyway. Okay. Oh, it was how different he was. In the retrial, the prosecution toned the case down and just kind of focused on a few things. Well, the big thing they focused on was common sense. So if you are Michael Dunn and you're sitting there and some kid threatens your life and apparently holds a gun at you, and then they leave, what the fuck are you going to do? You're going to run inside that gas station and go, holy cow, call the cops, some kid just held a gun at me. You're not going to drive away. Common sense. Michael Dunn was convicted. Common sense prevailed. Okay, we're last page. I took the time to read those Bible passages you mentioned. Isn't it funny how men in prison all suddenly find the Lord? How about Chris Watts? He's memorized the Bible. And you know that. What do you think Shannon was thinking when you were squatted on top of her and you had your hands around her neck? And Chris Watts said, I was thinking, maybe she was thinking about that Bible verse that says, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. Oh, there's Rudy down there. Oh, on that side, down there. Right there. See? Oh, no, I can't figure that out. Yeah, I don't think Shannon was thinking that. Not even a little. I will renew my effort to finish reading the Bible. The New Testament is probably an easier read than the Old. It is. Sorry. I don't remember the book and verse, but there was a passage, this is interesting, that talked about punishing people who lied about a murder, just as if they committed it. Did that passage hit home to you? Because you committed a murder and you lied about it, fucker. I liked that when I read it and thought about the 3 thugs in the SUV who are now telling stories. Okay, remember, Rhonda testified that when they pulled in, Mike said, I hate that thug music. He testified that thug is not a word he uses, and he would have referred to it as rap crap. Fucking A, good God. But here's him using the word thug. So, more impeachment on Michael Dunn's testimony. I will tell you, I work with a dude named Oscar, and I remember his name because our lab's name is Oscar. And Oscar plays his music a little too loud. Most of the time it's fine. He's Hispanic, so I feel like I'm in a Mexican restaurant. I kind of get hungry, and I'm starting to look for the chips and salsa. But yesterday, he played different music, and it was Spanish rap, maybe, and I didn't care for it. It almost started giving me a slight headache. I actually went to him and said, Carlos, Oscar, usually you're good. Turn this crap down. And he turned it down just fine. Okay. Back to, you remember the 3 thugs are telling stories. I just overheard my neighbor, his neighbor who talks through the air vents, calling to the juvenile through the vent. He refers to one guy as Thug Light. All I can say is, wow, what a rotten culture. Wrapping this up now, kids. I hope your trek to San Diego was nice. Hope blank mom, it's been redacted, I don't know what it is, had a happy birthday. Oh, you know that Michael Dunn's birthday, something like December 12th or something. So he got arrested November 24th, and then 2 weeks later, he got to turn 46 in prison, or in jail. Yay! I don't get to see TV or listen to the radio. I am in a cell all by myself and keep sane by reading. I have a deck of playing cards and amuse myself by playing solitaire and three-handed blackjack. I guess three-handed blackjack is you deal three. What's the fun? Oh, I don't get it. But I never lose, as I'm also the house. Fucking idiot. I sure am looking forward to getting out of here and breathing that fresh air. I won't get to go back and live by the seaside, so I'm sad for that. I won't complain, though. A little bit distracted. I'm sure I'll be happy wherever I end up, so long as Rhonda and I are still together. Not sure I would be holding up so well if it wasn't for her. Of course, the love and support from all the family helps too. So thank you. Love, Mike. Okay, so again, May 7th, Rhonda has now moved out. She's moved into an apartment. I'm curious how long. Okay, at his trial, they were still fiancé because he's like, she's my fiancé. He's got that arrogant little. You really want to just smack him, but then you sit and you think, oh, he's in prison for the rest of his life. I don't need to smack him. She had dumped him by the time of the retrial. When she comes in to testify for the retrial, she can't even look at him. There's a moment where my Siri starts, stop stalking me. Hey Siri, what's my name? Hey Siri, what's my name?
You're Meredith, but you asked me to call you Love.
My Siri calls me Love. Makes me feel good. I'm curious when she dumped him. How soon after the first trial? I'm curious if she wanted to dump him before the first trial, but she didn't want to be a crappy girlfriend. She wanted to support her man. If anyone out here knows Rhonda Brower, would you please ask her to email me? Please. I would love to speak to this woman. I mean, my goodness, she dodged a huge bullet. And again, no pun intended. But when she's testifying in the retrial, she doesn't. Okay, so Michael Dunn, oh, I can't do that, is right here. Okay, right there. What the fuck? Right there, Michael Dunn, okay? Every time they stop and have a sidebar or something, she just puts her hands over her face. She doesn't even want to take a chance that she may catch eye contact with him. She's that uncomfortable around this man. In the retrial, when she testified in the retrial, she had to testify twice. After a second time, she had to be helped off the stand because she was so emotionally spent. But do you know the defense attorney made fun of her about that? They mocked her. Like, this was so traumatic for her. Really? Okay. If you're still watching right now, I'm totally shocked. Hit like, hit subscribe, and God bless America.